Hi guys, and welcome back to another championship video. And we're halfway there. We're on round 23. Quick recap on round 22. I got one score correct. It was West Brom beating Reading 1-0. Now as far as games go, there are a lot of postponements. I think there's 6 in total in the championship. So I'm still going to predict them because, as I said before, they still belong to this round of fixtures. However, circumstances will obviously change when the game is actually played. This will be my one and only prediction for this game. I'm not sure how much longer the league is going to continue for. I think we're going to have what they're calling a circuit break very soon, where obviously a lot of teams are having COVID outbreaks. There will be like a 2-week gap in the football calendar. Everything will be pushed on, or maybe just those games will be postponed and moved to a later date. And that will mean that further down the line, they'll be played, and it just gives players chances to go and rest at home. Won't be able to spread COVID because they'll be at home, so it won't get spread among the team. And then hopefully after that 2-3 week period, everyone, all the footballers will not have COVID, and then things can continue as normal. Now obviously it's working in the best interest of the players for safety and things like that. I'm not sure how convinced I am that it will work, because obviously they still have a life outside of football. They'll still be at home. Their families might go out, they'll see family, so I'm not sure how much it'll work, but there's still football on this weekend, so I'm still going to make a video for it. Now let's get into my predictions. And starting off with Friday night's game, which is Barnsley taking on West Brom. Now Barnsley, they lost their last game. It was 2-1 against Preston. And they haven't won in 6, so they're not in great form still. They've picked up the lowest amount of points in the league, even though Derby are bottom, but they've performed the worst on the pitch. Now, West Brom, they won, obviously, their last game against Reading, and they've won 2 in a row. The one before that, they beat Coventry. They're starting to win games again, West Brom. And while the teams above them are starting to, draw or lose, maybe they can catch up. A few weeks ago, probably about a month ago, I said that Fulham and Bournemouth were in such good form that they looked uncatchable, and then they've sort of dropped off. So sorry to Fulham and Bournemouth if I've cursed you, but yeah, I'm not sure what's gone on there. But West Brom, they can get back into it, and I think they'll carry on their little resurgence, possibly towards the automatic promotion spaces, with a 2-0 victory here. Now on to our first postponement of this week's fixtures, Cardiff versus Derby. And Cardiff, they nicked a goal right at the end in a 2-2 draw against Blues. Disappointed from a Blues perspective, but Cardiff, they carried on battling, and Blues were just complacent, and Cardiff punished them for that. So that was a 2-2 draw. Derby, they beat Blackpool 1-0. I'm not sure what's happened to Blackpool recently. Their form has just completely fell off a cliff. But Derby got an important 3 points. Now for this game, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Middlesbrough versus Bournemouth next. And Middlesbrough, they're unbeaten in 3 with 2 wins and a draw. Chris Wilder looks like he's putting a bit of an unbeaten run together. Will it continue here? I think so. Bournemouth, their form has went right off a cliff. Maybe not that dramatic, but their last 5 games, they've drawn 3, lost 2. They're not picking up any wins anymore. 3 points out of a possible 15. Very poor for a team that's in an automatic promotion spot. And if it carries on, they will be overtaken. As far as this game goes, I think it is going to end as a 1-1 draw. On to Blackburn versus Blues. Now Blackburn, they are in very good form. They've won 4 in a row, won 5 of their last 6. And those 4 that they've won in a row, they haven't conceded in them. So they're in very good form. Their last game was a 2-0 victory over Bournemouth. Maybe they'll go over Bournemouth. If Bournemouth continue their form, I could possibly see Blackburn sneaking into the automatic promotion spots. Blues, we drew 2-2 with Cardiff. We were 2-0 up at half time. Could have made it 3 in the second half. Had plenty of chances, but we were just complacent. Ended up drawing 2-2. At least we got a point and didn't lose, but I'm disappointed with that. We should have won that game. Couldn't get the job done. And I don't think it gets any easier here. As I said, Blackburn in great form, and I don't see a chance for Blues. However, Deeney's in good goal scoring form. So the one positive I will go for is just to score and break that 4 games without conceding a goal run for Blackburn. I think Deeney will get one, but we'll lose this 2-1. Onto a game between two sides in very poor form. It's Blackpool taking on Peterborough. Now Blackpool, they've lost their last 3, haven't scored in them, and they haven't won a game in 7. So they're really, really struggling at the moment. But Peterborough, they did beat Millwall 2-1 in their last game. However, that was at home. And home and away, they are basically 2 completely different sides. Peterborough's away record is absolutely awful. They've played 11, won 1, lost 10. So if Blackpool lose this, something's definitely wrong with Blackpool. But I think, to be honest, with Blackpool's poor form, this will be a 0-0. On to Bristol City versus Huddersfield. And Bristol City, they drew their last game 2-2 with Hull. Hull, to be fair to them, were in very good form, so it's probably a very good point for Bristol City. Huddersfield, they have drawn their last 2 games, both 1-1. So you'd think I'd go for a draw, and I was going to go for a draw. But Bristol City, their home form is pretty decent as of late. It's obviously been awful over the last year, but they've really picked up at home and not very good away recently. So I'm going to go Bristol City just to win it 1-0. On to another game that's been postponed. It's Coventry versus Stoke. Quite a big battle near the playoffs, to be fair, but Coventry, they haven't won in 5 and they've drawn 4 of those games. Stoke, they drew 0-0 with Middlesbrough in their last one. But they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 7, so very good defensively from Stoke. For this, I can see it being a draw. I was going to go for a 0-0, but I can't see 2 0-0s in the same weekend, so I'm going to go for a 1-1. Millwall versus Preston next. This game has also been postponed. Millwall, they beat Blues 3-1 and then lost 2-1 to Peterborough. Preston, they beat Barnsley 2-1 and they've had a new manager, and I'm not saying that beating Barnsley is going to make you go on a run, but I don't know, I think they'll get some out of this because, I don't know, I just see it. So I'm going to go Millwall, Preston, 1-1 draw. Now on to a game between 2 teams that started the season very poorly, but they're both going on unbeaten runs now, and they're in very good form. Forest taking on Hull. Now Nottingham Forest, they're unbeaten in 8. Of those 8, they've won 3, drew 5. And their last game was a 4-1 win against Swansea. Hull, they're unbeaten in 6. They've won 4 in a row, and then they've drawn their last 2. Someone's run is going to end here, because I don't think it's going to be a draw. And I'm going to go for the home side. Forest to win 2-1. On to another game that's been postponed. QPR versus Swansea. Now QPR, they'd won 3 in a row and then they lost 2-0 to Stoke. Swansea, they've started dropping again. They've lost 3 in a row. So I'm going to go for what I feel like I always go for with QPR. QPR to win 1-0. On to our last game that's been postponed as of recording. It's Reading versus Luton. And Reading, they lost their last game 1-0 to West Brom, and their last 3 losses have all been 1-0. And they don't keep clean sheets. They just concede a lot of goals, which could be good for a team against like Luton, because they create a lot of chances, they just don't finish many of them. But in their last game, Luton, they drew 1-1 with Fulham, which was a great result. The one before that was a 3-0 victory over Blackpool. So they're in decent form, Luton, at the moment. And I think they will win this. I'm going to go Luton to win 2-1. And finally, on Monday night, it's Fulham versus Sheffield United. 2 of the teams that came down from the Premier League last season. And Fulham, they've started drawing a lot of games. They've drawn 4 in a row. The last 3 have all been 1-1. So that's surprising, because they were winning, I think they won about 8 in a row. And I thought that was going to continue. Just hit a bit of a stumbling block now, but as long as they're not losing, I guess they'll accept it. Sheffield United, however, they've won their last 3 games in a row. They're getting into a bit of a rhythm now. I think they have finally hit form, and this is where they could hit the playoffs. I think they're 6 points off the playoffs with a game in hand, because of that game postponed last Monday against QPR. So they have a chance of getting in there after... I didn't really think it was possible after their terrible start, but they're getting the form together now, and they've got plenty of time to get there. Maybe even automatics with the way the teams at the top are slipping up a bit. But for this, I think Fulham's drawing run to continue 2-2. So that's it for this weekend's Championship fixtures. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and put your predictions down in the comments too. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Championship content. Hopefully, Blues, we can get something out of this game, because it's a tough ask. Blackburn, very good side at the moment. If we did it, if we got a point, I'd be very happy. Up the Blues.